What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Side Hustle Experiment podcast. Today we are doing another solo round, just kind of riffing. We'll see what we got. We've been talking a lot this week, so we will see what we have for you guys. But what's been going on, man?
Nothing too much, dude. Big news in your world, right?
For sure,
Big
man.
announcement. First start, I think it is best to announce at the beginning anyways. So yeah, John's got a big announcement here. And I told him that, what he's doing here is a great idea and it should probably be more expensive. But, we decided on it. Or he decided.
I am actually, we talked about it a little bit last week. I am launching advanced arbitrage tactics. It was going to be a Patreon and it just didn't kind of work out that way. I was talking to Drew and we basically I decided to cut the price in third. And I was like, crazy. So basically it's going to be a school community. We're going to meet every other week. I'm going to be teaching kind of advanced arbitrage tactics, how you can find profitable products, how you can build your business, get like my 7-figure friends on there. There'll be a school community on there, which is really cool. School is absolutely amazing. It blows me away how much better it is than Discord, in my opinion. Just easier for me to use. I already put a course in there. So basically I just went back through all my YouTube videos. Basically, I was shocked how much stuff I actually had. Basically, there's like 3 hours of live sourcing in there, keep the stuff, pretty much anything you need to get started. This community, and there's a price tanking video. There's all sorts of stuff in there, all the podcasts. We will start the live calls in a week or two and kind of get that going. Probably focus a lot on Keepa and stuff like that. The community is basically for more, I would say, people who already have an Amazon account, have already sourced, maybe they've already made like $1,000-ish on Amazon and are looking to take it to the next level. We're not going to be going over like how to set up your account and kind of all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a little bit more high level and I'm pumped about it. And it's going to be $15 a month. That's it.
Yeah. After you said that, I think that is a great idea too, to make it cheaper like that. Because what we talked about as well is like, well, if you give the value of something that's $150 or $200 thing for $15, then that's just going to work out anyways. And the more I learned about the marketing, the more I learned, it makes sense. It's like you're supposed to provide like 10x the value of what someone pays for something. Yeah. Like if they're paying you whatever, if you can provide 10x the value, people are going to like you more. You're not going to have refunds. You're not going to have people quit. And that it just makes sense altogether. So,
and that was kind of the idea behind it and kind of what you were talking about when you were that was kind of what clicked for me. I was always on the fence about the Patreon. Like it was probably, there's going to be 2 price points. It's going to be like 50 and 97. Who knows? It might go up. It's never going to be cheaper than it is right now. But for right now, it's going to be the $15 a month. And you just like saw it in my face. You're like, bro, you should just make it less. Like, get it going. Like, let's just do this. Like, offer a ton of value, and you could always increase it later. And you said something that's like, you also want to like be able to sleep at night, and like that just like clicked for me. And I was like, this is going to be like so much more than the $15. Like, it's absolutely insane. Like, what's already in there, in my opinion, is worth, I don't know, if you just go in there for the next 30 days and then cancel, you'd get easily your $15 worth.
Yep. And I think that's kind of like how you have to look at all stuff. Like if you can over deliver on everything, then it's just going to build a better relationship altogether with anything. I think that's the gist of it. And that's like a really good idea to put it. In the future, no matter what you do in the future, it's going to pay in dividends because people are going to know that like this guy is just giving me way too much. I'm like stealing from him, really.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how I like looked at it. And school is just on another level. I only know of one other community that is on school. Super easy to set up. I think you just have to really sign up. It's not like a big deal or a big to do. It was definitely easier. I remember like the first Discord I joined, like having trouble like figuring out, like, I don't know, I might have had like 2 accounts or just kind of like getting it set up was super annoying. So I'm super excited. I hope you guys join. There'll be a link down below for you guys. And yeah, that is my big news. So I hope to see you guys on the inside.
Well, on the Amazon topic, I guess the big news is the gating situation, huh? You
Yeah.
probably know more about this than me. Like, as you guys know, if you listen to this at all, I do not sell on Amazon anymore except for liquidating my inventory. So I'm just now hearing this from Twitter. So tell me about this.
Yeah, so Nike decided to, I guess, hard gate, regate, whatever you want to call it. Well, not regate, but basically new sellers cannot even apply to get ungated in Nike. Um,
Restricted.
yeah, they're restricted. I actually saw it on Twitter and Instagram, and I was like, there's no way that like it just seemed off or something weird. And I had a second account. Please don't ask how to get a second account. I've got this question a million times. I don't recommend it. I just started selling books, and that I still have that account. Should probably get rid of that account because I'm paying $40 a month for it for no reason. And I wasn't ungated at Nike and went to like try to list something, and it was all grayed out. And they were just like, you can't apply. And I was like, okay, like this is real. And they made a reel about it yesterday. Someone really came at me hard in the DMs. They were just like, what's your proof? That's bullshit. And I was like, dude, I'm working all day. So I saw it like 8 hours later, and I was like, oh, here's like the video for you of it gated. Super
They didn't
interesting.
believe you?
Yeah, they were like, you're spreading misinformation and all this other stuff. And I was like, and then he DM'd me back. So respect for him. He's like, oh man, someone sent me a picture. So like, you are right.
What? That's so
Yeah,
weird.
I was like,
Some weird.
whatever, dude. Um, so yeah,
And
I
then Converse and Jordan, same thing happened today, which is
really
all
okay.
Nike umbrella. Yeah.
I
So if you
didn't
guys
hear
don't
that.
know, too, Nike owns Converse and Jordan, so that's all under one umbrella.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I have so many I have like 4 or 5 things on this. Um, so number one, I think that we'll get into kind of like the other stuff later, but I think the biggest takeaway from this is you have to strike when the iron is hot. There's probably a lot of people that wanted to get ungated at Nike, or I've been there. Like I didn't sell Nike until like my third year selling on Amazon. One, because I didn't know how to get ungated, and two, I mostly was doing books and other stuff, and then came across apparel. And like there's probably brands today where I'm like, yeah, one day I'm gonna get engaged in that, or like once I come across enough profitable products, like then I'll kind of go into it or whatever. And then I never did. So I mean that would crush me. I think just even if I didn't sell it, being like, oh man, like I might not be able to ever sell it if I wanted to. So yeah, taking advantage when you can. So like when you can get ungated or something, or there's like a really good sale, or all this kind of stuff. Like you never know if it's going to happen again. So when you have the
Mhm.
opportunity, like you gotta take advantage.
Yep, I agree. I think it's funny that I just got on a call with somebody yesterday, and he was like, "Dude, you like called the top, huh?" Because of me like quitting when I did, but I really just got lucky. But my whole thesis, we talked about. I think I talked about this in the last pod. Like the way I think Amazon's kind of going is they're going to be brand focused, and when you have issues with brands like that, like the brands aren't going to want people selling fake stuff, and I think that's really what that is. It's a symptom of like Nike getting mad at people selling fakes or doing weird stuff with their products. And that's probably the reason they gated it. I think that's going to continue to happen in the future. It's just like you have to find other stuff. Like you just have to find other stuff. You have to go wide on what you're doing. And you got to be prepared for stuff like that to happen.
I definitely think that is like the big part of it is they're just kind of tired of counterfeits. I do wonder. I think there is also just a lot of shady stuff that probably was going on where like I I never got into like the Nike sock thing, but I remember people saying that, there's two different versions. There's a higher quality one and a lower quality one, and people are trying to sell the lower quality one as the higher quality one, like hoping not to get returned. So I think like all that kind of stuff like adds up, and Amazon's like, that's it. Like
Yep.
we're stopping this for like right now. Like we need to reevaluate. I'm sure there's probably like also like a ton of listings, like generic, like that are just like, have you seen them? Like there's like a sneaker and it's like gymnastic sneaker or something. Like
Yep.
that's not it. It's just so ridiculous. And I think Amazon's just trying to clean up the catalog, or who knows like what's going on. But I do feel bad for new sellers because I know that's how like a lot of people get in. But I also kind of think it's in a way a blessing in disguise. um, for most, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, some of the course guys are probably in shambles right now. This is like absolute panic mode, but like that's, if you only teach a few things, that's what's going to happen. I exited the Nike stuff. I actually got so lucky to know, like, to get out of the Nike thing. Cause I got, well, gated. Yeah. I got re-gated on Nike. Something happened. Like this was 2022, probably like early November of 2022. I was killing it at this time too, pumping like 150K, 200K months. And Nike got cut in half, and my sales literally dropped by 60%. Like I went from doing like 5K days, 6K days to like 2,500, 3K. And I was like, whoa, this is really bad that if half my catalog, like it's this much percentage of my catalog. So then I was looking through Arbops, looking at the stuff they have in there, and another guy had that same thing happen to him in the past. And I was like, all right, well, after this December, I'm out of here. Like I'm not doing any more Nike. Like I'm going to make it 10%. Luckily, Nike just got more saturated, so I just couldn't even have the opportunity to find stuff. But I was going to get rid of it anyways because I'm like, you just can't be that far deep into one specific brand. And it would, like, because if something happens to you, mine was, I just got an inauthentic complaint and they gated every one of my listings. So I had to go through every listing and like refresh it and add it back on and get approved. It was awful. It was
That's
like
so hard to do. It's so tedious.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
I had like 180 listings. It was crazy.
Yeah. So I also think with that too, like that is interesting that because it is different than the Adidas. What happened with Adidas, because it looked like it was just Adidas, and I think like Adidas has like Adidas Originals or like I don't really know. I don't sell apparel. But that stuff wasn't gated or regated or whatever. So yeah, if they do, that's interesting that Nike did like their I don't know what you call them, like sister companies or whatever, as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me. I don't know. Then on the flip side, it's a good opportunity for people who are selling Nike because I don't know if no one else could come in the market and you're the only person who could buy it. Could be good.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I guess it goes in the way of it gets way worse and they gate everybody, or they do just stop new sellers. Now it becomes like a gold mine again for people that are already like sold on it. Like that's a huge opportunity if that's what happens. Now, personally, I don't believe that's what's going to happen, but I have no clue. But I've been pretty right so far on everything, so we'll see. I've been pretty spot on. But I mean, I don't know. You never know if it's just going to get gated completely. The Nike listings, you saying that about like women's gymnastics and stuff, the listings are so jacked up that I can't imagine there's not some Nike guy like, we've got to get this off Amazon. This is ridiculous. It does literally zero for us. They don't get any money from it.
True.
Like, I don't know how it benefits them to have all these jacked up shoe listings and stuff all over the place.
Yeah, it is funny too because I don't even understand. Well, I guess there's probably something in the keywords or something that like are driving people to like buy that or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think a lot of people are worried. I don't sell any Nikes, so it doesn't really bother me. I'm like, now I'm just like, like maybe this is a good opportunity or something like that. But I think a lot of people are worried that they're gonna like regate it or gate everyone. I think they would have done that already based on what happened with Adidas. I don't know why they wouldn't, or maybe they send like a death threat like they did with like the beauty brands, like, hey, in the next 30 days it's over. Which would be wild. That would be absolutely crazy. People thought it was bad.
You don't know what kind of deal.
Just like if that were to happen,
Amazon could be spinning
like
up.
That would be terrible for a lot of people. I think the only downside for which I'm curious to see is what it does, because a lot of new sellers would just go to Nike. So I am kind of curious to see where the new sellers go, because now wherever they go, like that is the potential to get like flooded and tanked. Like everyone starts selling like, I don't know, some beauty brand or something, right? And everyone's like, this is the new like thing to do. Maybe that like that's going to hurt someone else's business.
There's just not a lot of brands like Nike and Converse and Jordan on Amazon. Like literally, I would love to know the name. Like, I mean, On Cloud's pretty high up there, Hoka maybe. But like, if you don't, aside from those brands, I don't know if there's a lot of brands out there that Amazon doesn't sell on that still has the volume for sellers to get on. Like, especially with the wide catalog like that, because you can literally run $100K a month Amazon business just searching Nike and keep a product finder.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
that's it. Like if you know enough about it, I mean, I did. So, and I know guys that run it in all those brands I just said. So I don't know. I don't know if there's just another thing. I have a bunch of inventory in my house. I'm looking around to see if there's anything like. I just don't see anything that the Amazon doesn't compete on already,
Yeah.
or like so there's not a lot of place for people to start. I don't know where do they go. They probably go back home. They stop. If I had to guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's probably other apparel brands you could go to. I mean, but you're right. Like for Adidas, like Amazon sells Adidas, Adidas sells Adidas. Then you have like
Yep.
other people like Zappos, which is owned by Amazon, sells Adidas. So like it's
Yep.
not like a clear, break kind of thing. I can see a lot of listings get deactivated. A lot of these
Yeah.
like rogue Nike listings for sure. Or
Yeah.
there'd be
That might be more.
like 5 sock listings instead of like 100. I don't even know if there's
Yeah,
that
that
many.
might happen.
But like stuff like
Yeah.
that, I could definitely see these kind of rogue listings that are like you're selling Air Force Ones on like a men's slide listing, or that's the title of it. Like I'd be kind of careful with that. I mean, obviously this is just speculation. I have no idea. But obviously there's a reason that they're doing what they're doing. I personally don't. I almost think this just should how Amazon should work. How you would structure it, I don't know. But I almost think like anything else, there should just be like levels. Like once you hit this certain amount and like this certain health or whatever, then you could sell these brands and like just kind of like tier them up. But that'd be tricky for them to set up, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't know. It's interesting. I saw a lot of people freaking out about it. I think another thing, did you see? I saw some kid this morning. I had 4 people send me this, 3 or 4 people. The kid rapping on Twitter today.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh my gosh, dude. If you want to throw up, you can go look at it. Sorry, kid. I don't know you. But it was so funny. One of the guys today sent it to me. I made that tweet last week about like how there's such a saturation of content. Me and you talked about this of like, I think things are going to get weird. Like you see some of these guys making these TikToks. I saw one the other day. The dude looks like a complete fucking loser. And he's like making this TikTok stitch with this girl that's like, well, she was, what's your biggest whatever? And he's like, well, here's a Keepa chart. And he like reads the Keepa chart. And I'm like, dude, this is like so weird and lame. Like, why would you do that? That's like public humiliation ritual. That's like literally what I see that as. But you're just, again, you're like selling your soul for money. Like you're selling out because you would never do that stuff normally. And that was my whole tweet was like that. There's just too much content. It's going to start getting weird. And you see this kid today, like rapping. Holy cow, man. It was like, it was just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And Ant did it. This guy named Ant, he rapped and it was cool, but he's a cool dude. This was like a little kid doing it. But I was like, man, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You're just going to get more and more of this really hyper weird content because people just have to get views some way. Like you can't just grow it just saying the same stuff everybody else is saying because there's just like 1,000 people saying it. But that was just, the timing of that was unreal because I think I just tweeted that like last week to the day, and now somebody already did that.
I think Arb Ops actually had like a pretty funny tweet. I don't know if it was them or someone tagged them, but like they're like, "Oh, I'm so happy I'm never gonna have to see like people like those in the Nike outlet videos." I'm like, "Oh, excuse me, sir. Like, what are you doing?" We're like, "Oh, just like pull up and like scan stuff." Like, yeah, I'm not like gonna be sad about that.
No. But that stuff wasn't even working anyways. Like that was on its way out. Like really, that's an odd thing that people do that. I guess it's to illustrate the point of how easy it is. But dude, Reezy was doing that like 10 years ago. I was in high school watching Reezy resells do that stuff. Like, how are you going to try to replicate that today? Like, he did that so long ago. I even saw him hating on somebody. Me and Reezy, he's been back and forth on Twitter with me multiple times, but I saw him hating on somebody saying it was like disingenuous what he was doing with making those videos. I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure Easy made those videos like all the time back in the day, which is funny to see that circle around. But I guess it's just easy content for people to get. Like, I'm going to a Nike out. Look how easy it is to pull my phone out. I just made $75.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's exactly how it works, dude. We'd all be rich if that was the case.
Yeah. So I feel like that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems. I actually did a poll in my story whether this was good or bad. I didn't see the result.
I need to do a Twitter poll to see what people's state of mind is with Amazon.
68% of people said it was good news that Nike is hard gated for new sellers.
Oh, I guarantee it. I would think it was good news too if I was
It's
ungated.
based on like 100 votes. So, I mean, it's interesting.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It sucks, but it's just part of selling on Amazon, I feel like. I kind of just don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You'll just have to, I do wonder where people start. Probably some other apparel brand, but like you said, I don't know how big a volume you'd be
There's
able to
not.
do. And like I guess when you think of like outlets or whatever, I guess you have like I'm the wrong person to ask because I don't sell apparel. But I'm sure there's other brands that have outlets, but it's like Nike's Nike. They're like the king.
Yeah, literally, they're the number one. So there is a brand that competes like that. I mean, maybe there is in like subgenres, but not from what I understand. That don't have the brand or don't have Amazon selling. I'm trying to think. I just can't think of anything. No toys,
Yeah.
no beauty, no household stuff, no sports stuff. I mean, like a Carhartt, like a brand that, okay, Amazon sells that. And a lot of small retailers that are like big retailers sell that on Amazon as well. So that's out of the question. Yeah. The Stanley stuff that used to be really good, but Amazon sells that.
Yeah.
So
They're on a
like,
lot of
there's just
Stanley
not a lot
license.
of all the high volume stuff is just kind of Amazon's on it and stuff. Yeah, I don't know where they start. It's just going to get a lot harder. But
Yeah.
if you haven't noticed already, it's all it's done for the last year. It's like part of the game. It just gets more difficult.
Yeah, it definitely. It will be interested to see too, like if people just like go somewhere else or they,
They'll quit.
I don't know what they do. But I guess the counterpoint, like, does it get much better for people who are ungated in these brands?
Yeah. Well, I think a good
Probably.
example of this happens in like all industries. So back in I don't know when this was, like 2021 or something. Something happened with Apple where the like iOS 14 update where you like restricted privacy settings. So people they couldn't take as much of your
Oh yeah.
data. Facebook, if you had a Facebook ad, it would run and it could pull all this data from like everything you were doing on your phone. But then that iOS update happened and it like restricted that a little bit and the pixel became much harder and the advertising in general became much harder. But the people that were really good at advertising, it didn't really matter. They could win no matter what because they were good at copywriting, they were good at like media buying. But the people that were just throwing ads up and letting the algorithm do the work for them, they just died out. And I think this is a similar situation. Like things come in, restrictions come in, people just don't start it because they start running ads. It's too expensive. It just doesn't work. They're not targeting the right people, so they just quit. So I think that's what will happen. It's like, oh, I figure I can't sell anything. I'm not even able to get ungated. It just says restricted. I just am gonna. This is stupid. I'm gonna try something different.
Yeah. I mean, I hope not a ton of people. I always suggest people like if you're trying to get ungated in something, like only buy the 10 and see
Yeah.
what happens. Like it seems like a lot of these, if you're doing Nike, they buy like a crap ton of stuff. Like, oh, I'm gonna get ungated. I think another problem of this is kind of just like, and I'm also curious. I think Amazon is just trying to clean up in general.
Yeah.
Just like you hear so much like stuff of like they're accepting like Target invoices and Walmart invoices and all this stuff. I've never got approved with a Target or a Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
I bought something to try because I hear everyone was doing it just to try, like knowing that it's probably not going to work and it didn't work. Um, so that's kind of like my experience, but like I see people all the time talk about it. Oh yeah, you could just get something from Target or this or that. I'm just, I don't know.
Yep. Yep. Well, do you have any more Amazon stuff you want to talk about? Because I got something pretty interesting if you're done with the Amazon stuff. But
I
if
mean,
you
I
have
don't know how I could say yes after you were like, I got something really interesting to talk about.
well, dude,
So let's move on to that.
I don't think. Okay, we talked last Thursday, podcast on Friday. Yes, there's no way I talked about this. So I went and got a haircut Saturday. Have I told you about this?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, so I've noticed recently like my beard and my hair is growing like really fast. And my hair already grows fast. So this is like a ridiculous rate. I go Saturday to get my hair cut and the barber's like, dude, your hair's crazy. Like it's growing so fast. Like it's so like you came to me in the least amount of time you have and it's longer than it's ever been. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm happy you said that because I've been noticing that myself. So I've been trying to figure out like what's changed. And I don't know if I told you this, but I did that gene test, like the Gary Brecka stuff, which is
Oh,
he's a
okay.
big guy that's been on Rogan and everything.
Yeah.
So I have that gene mutation, the MTFHR or whatever. 40% of the population has it. And this is extremely like if you guys need to get tested for this, do a 23andMe. You can upload your raw data and see if you have this gene mutation. So I started taking this stuff, this methylfolate. I don't know if I can. Yeah, methylfolate. It's like a B12 vitamin thing. I've been taking that, and that's the only thing I've changed. I've taken some choline bitrate, which you can get that in eggs. That's what you can get it in a bunch of stuff, but eggs has the most choline. I started taking those two things, and I'm seeing like a complete difference in a bunch of stuff. My skin's better, my hair's growing faster. I just feel different. I don't have as much fatigue. I don't have any anxiety at all. All these things that like were symptoms of like this gene mutation, you can't process this folic acid or whatever in your body, especially to the rate of like a normal person. Started taking all this stuff, and it's like drastically changed me. And the guy was like, I can literally tell a difference in this. And I'm like, yeah, me too, man. I thought it might be placebo because, you start taking something, you start doing stuff, and you're like, I can see this, I can see this. But the fact that the barber, he knows my hair better than anybody is like, this is different. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. And now I'm like telling everybody about it because I'm like, if you have this thing, you should definitely try it because I know there's a difference that's happened in my life from taking this stuff.
Interesting. Wow.
Yep.
So you did what was the test?
So the first thing you can do is use Ancestry or 23andMe, whatever it is, if you're not afraid of the government stealing your data, but you can just use a fake name. You don't have to use your real name. That's a gene test, but you get raw data from your gene test, and it's like a massive spreadsheet of like all this stuff they measure. At 23andMe, it's not expensive. You just spit in a little vial and you send it off. So did that, I had this raw data, and you can plug it into calculators online. So I plugged mine into a choline calculator and then a gene test calculator. And it shows you these different like gene things you have wrong. So the only one I have, the only mutation I have that's big is this mutation of this it's like MTFHR or whatever. And your body can't, if you have this, you can't process folic acid at the right rate. And 40% of humans have it. That's how a lot of people think they have ADHD. They think they have this stuff, but really, whenever they eat bread, whenever they eat enriched foods, this jacks them up. And they don't have enough of this vitamin or whatever. Same thing with like pregnancies. Like women get pregnant and take this vitamin they have to take. It's like a prenatal vitamin. But 40% of women can't even process this thing. So they get postpartum depression, they get all this stuff. This could all not be true, but all I know is that I saw that this was possible.
Based on years experience, not medical advice, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't do it. Well, I mean, all this stuff's simple. Like, it's not like you're even doing anything. All you're doing is anyone can take the vitamin. It's just, are you going to get a result from it? I don't know. But I have definitely got some type of result from this stuff, like a tangible result. And the reason I even saw this because the Alan Sultanic guy that I've been telling you about, I saw that he was saying that he's like a constant biohacker guy, which I'm like that too, just constantly looking for information. And he said if he could have $1 billion with this information, he would take this information. So I read it, and it was this exact thing. So it was get the gene test, get this, get that, and then order these supplements and see what your levels are. And I've done blood tests. My blood work's perfect. Everything's perfect. But I'm like constantly tired, constantly fatigued, constantly have like a little bit of anxiety about nothing, random stuff like that. I've started taking this. It's like all went down the drain. All been much, much better. And I'm like trying to tell everybody I can about it because
just from taking that one vitamin?
Yeah, I'm attributing it to the vitamin. I mean, I haven't changed anything else in my life. And I've been eating like trash, like McDonald's 3 times a week, eating terrible. Yeah, and this stuff is just a bunch of stuff's different, like different things in my body and whatever. But I'm definitely growing hair like at a rapid rate. And that's just weird. Like you can actually see that that's happening. So I don't know. It's weird.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I would recommend you do it. I mean, this is.
I'm definitely going to do. So you just do the 23andMe, and then did you do the Gary Brecka test?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't use Gary Brecka's stuff. I didn't order anything from him. I'll send you the calculator after this.
Yeah,
and if people message us about this and they're like, "Hey, give me one," I'll send you the link to where you can upload your data. We'll put it in another episode or whatever. But and if you guys are interested in this, you can message me too, and I'll send you. I have like a full write up on what to do. I'll send you it after this. But yeah, I mean, I'm giving some credit to it. I usually don't tell a lot of people about that stuff because I'm like, it can be placebo. Everybody's always telling me to try this and try that. And I do understand that if you're taking vitamins or you're taking supplements, like that's the point. It's like a supplement to you. So if you don't have these problems, you're not going to take some magical vitamin and be better. So you need to know your levels of this stuff. But that gene mutation kind of shows you that your levels are going to be low. And I don't process choline at the same amount as a normal person. So I'm taking that as well and trying to eat more eggs and stuff like that. But yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because that's super interesting because I've definitely like heard about that stuff too. Like, I listen to Rogan and all these other guys, or I've seen the Brecca, like I've seen him on the hell is that? The guys who own Happy Dad, whatever, they interviewed him.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah, the Nelk. And I think he was on Rogan too, Brecca.
Yep. He's been on everybody. He blew up for a while.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, that's so interesting. And I have like heard like a lot of stuff that like you hear this stuff all the time, like, oh, I just started taking this vitamin, and it's like the dumbest thing ever. And people are like, oh, I swear by it. Like, so do you know who Kevin James is? He's like a comedian.
Oh yeah.
He's in King of Queens and all this other stuff, and he was actually on Rogan. And I gotta check on Amazon, but I forgot what the thing is. I wrote it down in some note. But he was saying he takes like these pills, and he's like, oh, never felt better. And like, I wonder if they went through the roof because Rogan's like, I want to know what these are. I want to know what these are. Of course, like Jamie figured out like what it was based on, I don't know how he even did it. But anyway, he figured it out what it was. So I was like, I wonder if the sales of that like exploded through the roof because it was just sold on like this small mom and pop site. And they were also the Amazon seller. Like they were the only Amazon seller. So I was like, oh, like that's really interesting. But I didn't buy them. I might. Who knows? I think they were like $60 or something for like 12. And I was like,
I wonder what it is. Yeah, I'm always hesitant with like advice like that because I think that people just come from the perspective like if it works for me, it's going to work for you. But it's just not the case. Like I take vitamin D every day, and that's because I have red hair. I'm pale. Like I don't go outside a lot, so like my body doesn't absorb vitamin D like that. So I need to take the vitamin D because I need the supplement. A lot of people do. If you don't go outside a lot, you're inside all the time. Okay, you're probably going to need some vitamin D. And then you have to know, okay, you don't just need vitamin D, you have to take vitamin K2 with it. So I have vitamin D plus K2 pills, and I've been taking those for years. And do they do anything for me? I don't know, but I haven't tried not taking them. And I know I'm like a hermit, so I should take them. So, but I don't take a bunch of pills. That's the only vitamin I took up until this point. So I started doing that stuff because I looked at my blood work and it's like, well, I'm not deficient in anything. Like I have some high iron, which I don't even know what that. I don't know what that does for me. Probably not great, but yeah, that's the only thing. So I don't need to take anything specifically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's...
Go ahead. Yeah, if you take a gene test, it'll show you a bunch of different things you have. So maybe you don't have this mutation of this gene mutation that doesn't let you have folic acid, but you can have a bunch of other gene mutations. So I looked. I have another thing too. There's only two big ones, and this one's smaller than the other one I'm talking about. But I have like a really high susceptibility to MDA, which is like macular degeneration, which means that one day I'm probably going to go blind, which is crazy because I have like 15/20 vision or 20/15. I have like more than perfect vision. I can see really long. I can read up close. But eventually, from my understanding of this disease, that once you hit a certain age, it just like falls off a cliff. And I've saw this happen with like people in my family too, like perfect vision. And then you hit like 50 years old, 55, and you're just like becoming blind. So inevitably that'll probably happen to me too because I'm just super susceptible to this. It's in my genes. But if you take that test, you see the stuff in your genes, you can just kind of be more prepared. Like this stuff, I mean, if this changed my life, I mean, if this continues, if it's not something else, if it's not some outside factor, which I don't see how it could possibly be because I'm not doing anything else for my health, then yeah, there's so much to attribute to the success of it, I guess.
I'm definitely going to do one of these 23andMe's. It looks like it's on sale. It's $129.
Yeah, it's simple. And it also shows you your heritage. You'll learn where you're from.
Interesting.
Yeah, shows you like a map.
Where it said you were from, is it true?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but it is true. Yeah, it traces back your ancestry. Yeah, I mean, it's all legit. I thought I was from Ireland always because I have red hair, but I'm not. I'm from like 99.6% from like the UK, like that area.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try this.
Yeah, I had like 0.01% Native American, so, you know.
Wow, okay. Interesting.
Multicultural, man.
That is, wow. That's pretty crazy to kind of like find that stuff out.
Yeah, I've always been into it. But once I found that, I'm like, I got to shout this to a bunch of people because I've always been just looking for ways to improve my focus, improve my productivity. And I've tried everything. And this has been the only thing I actually see a large uptake in that actually has helped me. Now, maybe it's all in my head, but I know the hair growth thing's legit, so something's working. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's nothing I'm even doing. Maybe it's like, I don't know, I'm drinking a lot of hydration drinks. Maybe it's because I'm more hydrated, but I doubt it. I drink a lot of water. I drink a lot of hydration stuff.
Do you drink out of one of those? I don't know what it does. It like diffuses the water or something, or adds
No, burst
oxygen or something.
osmosis. No, I will say that I haven't drank outside of an accident. Maybe I go to a restaurant. I haven't drank tap water in like 4 or 5 years, which that's probably pretty crazy. People, yeah, I don't drink any tap water. I think that stuff's really bad for you. You should look all that up if you do drink tap water. But I don't drink any of that. So I buy 7 gallons of spring water every week, and I just go through one a day. I tried my best. And I drink a lot of these. These days, I'm drinking a lot of these Ghost hydration drinks. And this is actually, this is a pretty good point. I'm always drinking energy drinks. You notice I'm always drinking an energy drink or hydration drink. I use the sourcing skills I have to like find stuff on Vitamin Shop and then order it like for a discount. So I just got a bunch of stuff this week for like 60% off, which the normal person would pay a ridiculous amount. That's the problem. Yeah. You can't get the protein drinks, you can't get the protein stuff, can't get the energy drinks because they're like $3-4 a little thing. Why would you do that? If you can get them down like $1.20, which we can because we know how to source. Yeah, I'm just ordering like care packages of stuff from all these websites when they have sales, and they're coming in. So I'm just like unsubscribed from all the websites except for the stuff I actually use.
That's hilarious.
Yes, it has been a good skill in that way. I've saved a ton of money doing it.
It's absolutely crazy. I really like these. It's the Fairlight protein. Yeah. They have like the vanilla, and it's the Elite, and it's like 42 grams of protein. It tastes like exactly like a vanilla milkshake, and it's just so good. And when I went to Miami to speak at CVS, they had them. It was like $7 a bottle.
Yep.
Like I get them on Amazon. I think you get a 12-pack for like $42. I don't know what that equates to, but definitely like, and at the airport they were like $10.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. But I mean, they're so worth it. And like, I don't know, I like them as like a little snack. Talking about health and fitness, have you ever heard of this app, Yucca? YUKA?
Where you scan the stuff and it tells you things about it?
Yeah, it tells you like how good or bad it is. I don't know like how accurate it is. Those Fairlight drinks, I think only score like a 50% on the thing.
Chemicals, right? It's mainly chemical based.
Yeah, it tells you like exactly like what's in anything, which is interesting. And then it will have suggestions for like a better version of it. The app's free and you just like scan with it. I don't even have anything down here. But I thought that was like kind of interesting. But for a lot of the stuff, they don't have like recommendations from it. I don't know how new or old the app is, but I think there's like 5,000 things in there. Kind of interested to see like you scan something and you see like all these like chemicals in there. It's like interesting in one hand because you're just like, unfortunately, I've been eating this for like 10 years. Like you're right, and I don't know. Like I guess okay, right? I'm not like sickly or anything, but I guess maybe if you did it for another 20 years, maybe that's bad or whatever. Like I almost feel like there's nothing that's like super pure anymore.
Yeah, it's not. I try to look at all this stuff, and this is like a perspective, I think, especially when you're trying to like lose weight and stuff too. You're still on this journey of doing this. This is like how I look at all this stuff. Is like that you have your whole foods, and then you have your like chemical garbage. Okay, but no matter what you have, chemicals or whole foods, everything's got calories to an extent, or they have some type of caloric thing in them. Well, all these chemical foods, if you can avoid the high calorie chemical foods and get stuff like these hydration drinks I'm talking about, they're 0 calories. They're just chemical bombs, but they don't make you fat. They will make you leaner. Now, are they great for your health? Probably not, but they are good for losing weight. And then you can talk about like whole butter or whole milk. Okay, that stuff's not chemicals, but it's going to make you fat if you eat a bunch of it. So you kind of have to like play what's best there. If you're going to do only organic chicken and organic low fat beef and bison and stuff like that, you can do it, but is that stuff going to fill you up as much as chowing down a bunch of 0 calorie stuff and low calorie? Like when I'm on a diet, I eat a ton of popsicles and like ice cream sandwiches. Okay, those are like tons of they're low calories, but they're just chemical bombs.
Sounds like a
So
good
just
diet, man. Ice cream
yeah,
sandwiches.
I'm like, well, I'm starting the Hormozy diet soon, but it's the same type of thing too. It's like he doesn't care as much about the chemicals; he cares about the calories. So Hormozy's going on a 21-day thing. I'm just going to follow along with that. In the morning, protein shake, like you said, Fairlife, and a protein. I'll either do like a bar or like these legendary food things, and then a pound of turkey, and then another pound of turkey, and that's it. Try to like low
Like
carb it.
ground turkey or like
Yeah,
turkey
it's
cooked
bought
up?
16 pounds of it today, so I got to stick with it. Yeah. So 2 pounds of turkey a day and then a protein thing. And now is that the healthiest? Because these protein bars, they're just chemical bombs too. And then the protein shakes, they're chemical bombs too. But it is going
Yeah.
to make me leaner, like for sure. So it's like a rough.
Well, that's like the other thing too. Like I scan like the app and like those elite protein things, or the Fairlight protein,
Yep.
and it's like, oh, it's 50%, and then it's just super confusing because I saw, like, did you see that video of Hermosi where he like
Yeah.
cooked up like these high protein things or
Yeah.
whatever, and like basically he was like, yeah, you could just put like chocolate syrup, and I actually think we talked about that with David.
Yep. We
And
did
we're
with
like,
David.
yeah, I don't know if I'm not ready for that just yet. Um, but then he's like, oh yeah, I drink these in the morning. And like, you look at Hermosi, he's like, oh, he's like a healthy guy. Like, seems like he's pretty studied up on this stuff. And he's saying like they're good. So it's like always just like hard to balance. I love like the pure protein bars, the like the chocolate one. That's
Yep.
so good. That ranked like 50. They were saying like they have these Quest bars that are supposedly better. I have to be on the lookout for them. But I'm like the type of person, I think like my trainer is like, oh yeah, like these bars are good. I'm like, okay, I'll buy them. Like I
Yeah.
literally
They're
just
good
bought.
for weight
He said
loss.
they're good, so I bought them and I've been eating them. And then I scan them with the app. I'm like, shit, I really like these. Like I don't know, like I'll probably keep eating them. For
Yeah,
sure.
it depends what you want. Like I said, it's just because you're skinny or fat doesn't mean you're healthy per se.
Yeah,
Like that, like
true.
or your body's healthy. You know, like you could eat completely processed garbage and be lean. Like Hormozy's a perfect example. Like he just his whole life is eating this processed like shit food, but he's jacked and he's lean and like same way with this guy named Greg Doucette. He's like a bodybuilder type of guy. That's who really got me into a lot of this bodybuilding because he shows these lean meals, but they're using a bunch of chemicals like different syrups that are 0 calorie. Like this stuff's not necessarily great for you, but there's not a lot of evidence that it's bad for you either. It's not whole foods, but it's hard to eat whole foods. It's more expensive than getting a $2 bottle of great value 0 calorie syrup and putting it in, a milkshake. That's like 100 calories for the whole milkshake. Or I'll make these little concoctions with the Ninja Creamy. And you can put all these different
Ooh,
chemicals in
yeah.
there, all these chemicals, and then you spin it up for 150-calorie ice cream, and it tastes almost as good as a normal ice cream. But that'd be impossible to do if you use whole good 100% score on that thing
True.
foods. So you like almost can't have it both. It's really
Yeah,
hard.
it's funny too because like when you do, because we got a creamy, and it's like if you just put basically like the Fairlight Elite in there, like it's all right. But
Yep.
if you just add like a tablespoon of like just Jello powder, it goes
Yep.
from like all right to like amazing, like
Yep.
absolutely like a blizzard. It's absolutely insane what you could make in that. And I just, oh my god, yeah, the creamy is great, and that's probably the hardest part about, oh man, eating healthy is so expensive. Like we
Yep.
literally will eat ground turkey. It's usually flank steak. I'll eat flank steak for either breakfast or dinner. I'll go back and forth. Usually egg whites and ground turkey. You go to the store, like between me and Kate, it's like between 150 and like $220,
Yep.
depending on like how much we're buying of each thing. Again, that's like meals for like the entire week, obviously. And that's not even like organic stuff. This is just like the regular,
Normal stuff.
yeah, normal stuff. I mean, the flank steak actually that's expensive, and the ground turkey is. But like, it's just crazy. Like, if you want even like the ground beef that we get or whatever, like we try to get I think the leanest you could get is maybe like 96 ish or 9, maybe it's 94.6. I think it's 94.6. Even that, it's like 8.99, 9.99, which is insane compared to like, I think the loaf is probably like the worst, which is like 70.25. I think that's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, 3, 4.99. Um, I mean, it probably tastes better for sure,
It does.
but the calories, when you look at the calories, it's absolutely insane. The reason I buy the flank steak though is because I don't know if I'll ever eat. Well, I will, but like if you got a New York strip steak, let's just say it was like 16 ounces, the calories on that is like I want to or 10 ounces, I think it is. It's like somewhere in the 700 to 800 range.
Yep.
For flank steak, that same 10 ounces is like 450 calories.
Yep.
And it's like, damn, like that's a lot. That's almost like double.
Yep. Yeah. It's a lot of the fat in that stuff. That's like what's bringing those calories, because fat has more calories than protein and carbs. So that's what's bringing a lot of that stuff in. Yeah. But you have to have fat or your hormones will get jacked up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I never understood, because I was just eating. I would eat. Well, first of all, when I first started losing weight, I was eating New York strip steak. For some reason, I like misread the packaging and thought it was like sirloin, so I was logging it as sirloin. I was eating it for like basically lunch and dinner, because it just meal prepping sucks. So I kind of like a very easy meal prep, and steak obviously is just easy to do. So I was eating like so much more calories and fat, and then once I figured it out, I was like, oh shit. Like I would add once I started working with a trainer, and it wasn't. I was just like calories. Like I have this many calories, so I'm gonna eat that. And then he's like, no, no, no. You got to do fat, like the fat, the protein, all that kind of stuff. And so then when I was eating normal, like I was so over on the fat. So I was like eating eggs for breakfast, which have not a lot of fat, but 3 of them. And then the steak is absolutely filled with fat, like a New York strip. So that twice. And I was just like, oh, damn. And that's where I was like, oh, I can't just eat. Like, I really like the steak for lunch and dinner, but then it was like, you can't with the fat. So that I kind of like got ground turkey. And I was like, oh, man, there's like no fat in this. Because I don't think there is any fat in the one we buy.
It's low, 93.7.
Yeah. But then you also, the crazy part too about that, I don't know if you put like seasoning in it, but like taco seasoning is insane. Like when it comes to calorie count.
Is it?
Yeah, it's crazy. If you look at the calories on it, like we made this like big chili recipe. I think we used 5 packets. I want to say like the calories on don't quote me on this, but I think the calories just from the taco mix was close to like 900.
Yeah, well, 150 a pop. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like,
You just gotta get lower. You gotta
crazy.
get lower calorie ones. That's sugar. All those calories are coming from sugar. So you got to get ones with 0 sugar seasoning. I just bought some today. It was taco seasoning, but it's not that many calories. So because you got to just find the ones without sugar in them.
Okay, that makes sense.
You wouldn't think there's sugar because you're like, it doesn't taste sweet, but that's what it is. It's that getting you more addicted to it.
Okay, that makes sense. Then
yeah,
I like doing that, and then I'll just use like the Uncle Ben's like white rice just to microwave it since it's easier. I posted about that, and I got a bunch of DMs saying that I should buy a rice cooker. And what they use like bone broth, so you get like almost more protein. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I already spend so much time meal prepping. I don't really want to add to it.
Yeah, dude, I don't like that advice at all. And it's like, oh, you just need to get this. It's like, dude, I'm getting the prepackaged stuff. Like I'm busy. That's my goal with even trying this Hormozy diet is I wake up, I get to eat this little protein snack. I drink the protein drink, and then I'll have my girlfriend meal prep the rest of the stuff. So I don't want to meal prep. Like you need to, if you're taking an hour and a half, 3 hours a week, something like that, prepping meals when you could be making money or furthering stuff. It's just, and the meal prepping is not just meal prepping. It's like cleaning the dishes and it's putting the food back up. It's bringing the groceries inside. I'm trying to eliminate that stuff too. I want that Sam Ovens thing I was talking about last week. He talks about getting a maid, getting a cook, because it's just going to be worth more for your time. Like the energy you put out to do that stuff is just really hard. I cooked yesterday. I made like 10 steaks. I had this like steak thing I bought a while ago. It took me like an hour and a half, dude. It smells my apartment up. Then I have to do the dishes, which I'm not going to do. My girlfriend's going to do it, but still. I mean, I have to tell her to, which is energy. It makes me feel bad. But yeah, so it's like, I have to do all this stuff just to like eat some steak. I'd rather just prepackaged buy stuff. It's easier like that. Ideally, I do a meal kit in the future, but those are pretty expensive.
The meal kits are pretty expensive. So we used to do this one And like they just kept like changing the menu. It's like super annoying. Um, they heat like all right, but for me, I'm like a picky eater, so I like everything like plain. Like I don't like cheese on stuff. Like, and all this stuff has like, I mean, I'll have like mozzarella cheese or like something on pizza, but like I'm not having like American cheese on like an egg sandwich or like a burger or like anything like that.
Really? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, I just don't like it. I don't like mayos and like all this weird stuff. So like a lot of these like companies will have like, oh, like a Chipotle this or a cheese with that. So like it's hard for me to like order from those places because they don't just have like, all I'm looking for is like beef and rice or something, but like they have to sprinkle cheese on it or like something stupid. Um,
So okay, now this brings up a huge question. Then that stuff usually, makes people overweight. So when you were more overweight, like how did you even get there without eating all this? Like, because I feel like the condiments and the cheeses and stuff, that's how people get like really fat. Is they don't know how much it adds up. Like that taco seasoning, like you're saying, people just dump that on their stuff. They don't know. Okay, that's like extra calories, or they're slamming like cokes all
true.
day, and that's like dang 200 calories a pop. So what were you eating at that time? Because
So I
I
think,
didn't know that.
yeah, I think it's just like we were getting like a lot of takeout and we would do like just crazy. So like it would be like takeout, drinks, and like dessert. So like when you couple like that, like when I think about what I used to eat, it's like absolutely insane. Like we would get like, let's just say like takeout pizza, right? So I'd have pizza, we'd have a bunch of beer, or I'd have a bunch of beers with that, and then it'd
Yep.
be like, oh,
And you drink the
let's get,
IPAs.
yeah,
Yeah.
drink IPAs and then get like a blizzard. Like
Yeah.
absolutely insane. That's probably like 2,500 calories right there. I didn't track the calories on it.
Yeah,
And
but
that was just like after like that was just like dinner. Like you know what I mean? Like there was probably like breakfast or like a lunch or something in there. And then like not working out, like not getting like the steps or just like kind of working in the business. Um I think that is probably the most eye-opening thing. Like now I've done like a better job, I think too, is like almost like deciding what I want. So like I went to a brewery like a couple weeks ago and I really liked their beer. So I was like, instead of like going all out on like eating something there, it's like what could you do instead? So I was
yep,
like, oh, I'll get a burger without a bun. I don't eat cheese. And then I eat like maybe 5 French fries.
yep.
And then I had
That's
like two or
perfect.
three beers. And then it was like, but what I used to do is have like 2 or 3 IPAs and then a huge burger with like bacon and like, and then all the fries, and then maybe if we got an app or something, right? Like, so then like just kind of changing that stuff, like you save like 300 or 400 calories on that, and then you just get. It feels weird at first, like, oh, like I just want the meat, like I don't want anything else. But then it just starts to like get normal, and
Yep,
then I think too, like I've started like the IPAs I haven't been drinking as much.
yep.
Try like switch up to like wine a little bit, which is a
Mhm.
little better. I
It
mean,
is.
drinking is just bad in general, but I mean, I enjoy
I,
it.
I like it. That's what I do too. The thought of like, okay, if I'm going to do this, either I'm going to eat. I'm doing this for the weekend. So right now I haven't drank in like whatever. I'm going to try to stop like for the next 2 weeks, probably not drink at all. But Saturday I'll probably order a big pizza and get an ice cream or something. But it's like,
Mhm.
okay, well I'm not drinking, so I can do one of these. If I'm going to have like a cheat day, I can have one, but you don't need to have both. If you're having like both, and then you're doing it two
Yeah,
nights, it's like, whoa, I just added on like 3 days of calories to my week. I can't afford these. I'm just going to get fat because you can only
I was
be
actually
over so
talking.
much.
I was actually
Yeah.
talking to my trainer about that, and he's just like, "You have 21 meals." He's like 3 to 4 of them, like 3 to 4, like not 3 or 4 days, like
Yep.
3 or 4 meals, like could be like cheat meals because that will put you, I think, eating healthy like 80-ish% of the
Yep.
time or something like that. When you do the math on that, and then basically his rule is never back to back. So
Mhm.
like if you like let's say like you go out for pizza or whatever, like the next day has to be like on track. Like
Yep.
you can't like get like pizza or drink or like, I think it's when you like stack stuff, that's when you get in trouble. When you're drinking,
You do. It is.
eating pizza, then getting dessert, getting it like that's when it just gets like way too out of hand. And I feel like
Yep.
I used to too. It's just like I don't know what it was, but I would just feel like so stuffed after eating.
Mhm.
And now it's like it happens very, very rarely. It's just like you're just more aware. And I would like recommend anyone to get MyFitnessPal. It's free. I track everything I eat. And like one of the big hacks for me is like I used to just like go to a restaurant and just be like order anything or do meal prep, order anything. Now like I'll put it in the phone like first, be like, how many calories is this? And be like,
Yep.
oh, like that's not worth it. Or it sounds like annoying and stupid, but it's like, well, if you want to lose weight or be like healthier, like that's what it comes down to. So I do that all the time. And I just like kind of like having like a record too of like, I said it in Miami, like one of the presentations, like tracking it just in general or anything in the Amazon business or health or fitness or whatever. Like I am very rarely surprised.
Yeah.
Like if I gain weight this week, like I know exactly why. Like I could go back through the food log, I see how many workouts I did, how many calories I burned or didn't burn or whatever. And it's like, well, like that's why. And then it's like you feel like an idiot because you're just like, dude, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like why'd you do
The
this?
most amazing part of that is that like people have no clue like what's going on. I mean, it's perfect with the Amazon stuff. You have no clue how much money you're making. You don't know how you're gaining weight or why you're losing weight or whatever. If you don't track this stuff, you have like no clue what's ever going on. And also you have no clue the value of stuff. Like the value of these,
Yeah.
like eating a pizza and drinking a bunch of beers and do it, like you would have not even been able to guess the calories, right? You'd probably been like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably 1,000 calories. Okay, really, it was 3,000. If you
Yeah.
don't actually track it, like now everything you say, I know like the protein, fats, like you said, an egg. Okay, I know 70 calories,
Yeah.
7 grams of protein, 7 grams of fat, because I used to do that stuff all the time. So it's like if you don't know that, and all you have to do is track for like 6 months to a year, and you can
Yeah.
kind of guess like what everything is. So I'm trying to be like intuitive about what I'm eating. But yeah, if you don't track it at least for some period of time, you just have no clue what you're doing. Like you're just like walking in the dark, just hoping for the best. And the same with lifting. Like if you're not tracking your
Yeah.
lifts and months go by and you haven't gained muscle, well, dude, go look at the lifts. You haven't did any more reps. You haven't added any more weight. You're just doing the same thing every day. It's impossible for you to grow doing that because your body's not adapting to anything. So yeah, I agree with you. If you're not tracking stuff, you kind of just like just in the woods with no flashlight. You just
Yeah,
hoping
like
that you
it's
make it out.
also too, you have to realize too, like not to like go back to the drinking, but like when you a lot of another reason I kind of like really cut back on the IPAs is like there's no nutritional values on a lot of them. Like there's no like you don't know how many calories are in a lot of them. And I was like, this is so weird. Like why did none have them? And I think I Googled it and I don't know, don't quote me on it, but basically like they said like these companies don't have to have a nutritional because there's no nutritional value
Yep.
to actually the beer
Yep.
that you're
It's just
drinking. So like they don't need it because there's no like nutritional value in it. It's just calories. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So like a lot of the stuff, if I am like gonna drink or something, like it has to kind of like be in MyFitnessPal. And like kind of what you were going back to, I try to eat like more stuff that's in there or like scannable or anything like that, just so I know. Like if you go into MyFitnessPal now, like I would say probably the average slice of pizza in there is like 350 to 400 calories.
yep.
And that's just like for a regular slice. So if you have like two, that's like 6 to 700 calories right off the
Then
bat. Like you
three,
didn't even
four.
have anything else. Like you didn't drink anything. And like there you go. If you're supposed to eat what? Let's say 2,000 for argument's sake, just round numbers, right? Divided by 3. I mean, what is that? 700 calories a meal, a little less than that. So like it's just crazy. And then you have like some IPAs on top of that. The average IPA, depending on how strong it is absolutely ridiculous. Like in
150 plus every time, basically.
easily. The higher the ABV, the higher the calories are. Like some of them, like if you have like an 8% one, you're looking at like 350, like 400 calories. It's just
Well,
absolutely
I went
insane.
through a I went through an IPA phase, and I've never been as fat as that. I was so fat during those times.
Yeah,
Like I just
it's
could
just
see myself. I was
crazy.
like, I'm exploding. Like my face, my belly, everything is blowing up. And what am I doing? It's like it's the IPAs because not only is it the ABV, but it's like they put carbs in those. Like a lot of these
Yeah,
seltzers. So now all I drink is either Mountain Dew seltzers, the Monster seltzers or Happy Dads. Like only those three
Okay.
seltzers, 100 calories
Oh.
a pop. Yeah, so it's like I know if I drink 10 drinks, I have 1,000 calories. And then I can kind of estimate through the week. And I do a lot of fasting. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to drink this weekend, I know I'm going to have an extra 1,500 to 2,000 calories. I'm just going to fast one day because that'll just let me have those calories in the week. So I can have a day where I eat normal and then I drink a ton, but I didn't eat anything for a whole day. So it equals out throughout the week. But yeah, those IPAs, dude, it's just like you're going to drink 10 IPAs, you're done for. You're adding a pound of fat. Literally, you're going to get 1 pound fatter just for a night of drinking IPAs. It's crazy.
Talking
I
about that,
love them.
Happy Dad actually came to PA. So I
They're
did
good.
try them. They're pretty good. I'll say
Yeah,
they're pretty good.
they're not like sweet or whatever. The best drink by far is Mountain Dew seltzers. If you haven't had those, have you had those?
I have
Oh my!
not.
Next time you go to the gas station, I'm sure they're in PA. Yeah,
I'll have
I'm
to look.
sure Mountain Dew seltzer's best drink by far. If anybody's listening, you're a drinker. It's not even close. 0 sugar in it, 100 calories, and they're just delicious. Especially if you like Mountain Dew, which like I like that. I'm from
Have you
West
ever
Virginia.
had Eddie's vodka? Lemon
I don't think
Eddie's?
so.
Dude,
No.
you should definitely try that. So basically, it's like this lemon flavored vodka. They have some other flavors. I think it's like 60-ish calories per 1 ounce,
Damn.
or right around there. And all you do is use plain seltzer. It tastes like a lemonade. It's absolutely insane. And they actually came out with hard seltzers, and they just came out with them. We actually went to Lemon Eddie's because they had a place in Austin, so we like toured their facility when we were in Austin. Really, really cool place. Or Deep Eddie's. I'm sorry, Deep Eddie's
Okay.
is the name. And they came out with seltzers, and they're really, really good. They're like 4.5, I think, ABV and like 100 calories. Just like really light. The high noons are good. I like high noons.
Yeah, my problem with this is like the thing with the ABVs or whatever. It's like people like people love the high noons, but what you don't know is those are 100 calories, but the alcohol percentage is like 1% less than a Happy Dad or something. It's like
I
because
think it's
those
like,
are
yeah, they're like 4, right? I think.
yeah. So the difference is like you're going to end up drinking more because you're not as drunk. So like
True.
every what 4 of those you drink, you like or every 4 of another drink you drink, that'd be like 5 high noons. So that
True.
ABV stuff kind of you got to make sure it's like a good ratio of calories to alcohol, or you're just going to end up
Your
getting
money's
more.
worth.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get the calories worth because you're going to end up. Yeah, it's odd, but yeah, I kind of figured all that stuff out when I started learning about this. I'm like, oh, that alcohol, yeah, it's lower calorie, but it's only got 3.5%. Like there's something, it's like a Seagram, and it's like low calorie, but it's like 2% alcohol. Okay, and I have to drink like 40 of those things. So like I'm gonna get just as fat drinking those.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, you learn a lot like when you're like trying to like track calories and trying like however you cut it, like drinking is terrible for you.
Yeah,
Like
it is. It's the
there's
worst
there's
thing.
no like, so we're not like trying to like be like, oh, like it's terrible for you, but like I don't know, it's just I don't know, it's social. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
did, and like sometimes I'm just like but like doing the 75 hard and not drinking for 75 days was like really, really good and like eye opening. I was like, okay, like wow, this is great. But I don't know, there's just something about like I guess now that summer is here. Summer is like the hard part. Like when the weather's nice, or you're going to concerts and stuff like that, or like you're eating outside in front of the like all that kind of stuff. It's like I'll have a couple drinks or whatever, but it's always just
it,
like a struggle.
yeah, it's gonna be a rough summer for me because I'm usually my family has like a lake house, so we're always going there, and I'm drinking like a lot there. But where I'm building this new like company, really, and it's really hard to build something. You can't be deleting like 2 or 3 days from your life, and I'm deleting like if
Yeah.
I'm drinking 2 days a week, I'm deleting 3 days a week, like literally because if you're going on a Friday and you're drinking that day, well, you really just don't want to do anything all day because you want to start drinking. And then Saturday,
Yeah.
you're hungover. And if you start drinking again Saturday, now you're hungover all through Sunday and probably a little bit of Monday. Now you're like
Yeah.
almost 4 days out of the week. Like there ain't much time left. So I'm trying to stop drinking so I can be more productive. Like
Yeah.
Monday rolls around, I'm ready to go. I'm not like still kind of feeling the hangover from Sunday because it definitely affects you a bunch. You're not really fully ready till like Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I start feeling okay. Now I'm 100%. Then I'm
That's
back to
actually
drinking again.
Yeah, that's with the trainer. He was just like Sunday through Thursday. Like you have to just be on top of it. Like no bullshit, no drinking, no like yeah, you get your kid gets a promotion or something. Yeah, like do that, but then like right back to it. and you don't do it on Saturday. Like,
Yeah.
you just can't keep at. He's just like 3 to 4. Like, that's it. Like, you
Yep.
get 3 to 4, and like just be like, do I want this to be one of my 3 or 4? Yes or no? And then like you just have to be disciplined about it. And it just like gets harder. It's hard to do. It's like, I think it's anything else. It's like Amazon or whatever. And like you said, it's like you just get in like these cycles or whatever where you're just, it's like, it doesn't really, it doesn't affect you till it does. Like, kind of like Amazon, like, you're profitable until you're not, like, until you like see it, kind of thing. Or
Yep.
like, not sourcing for the 3 days or 4 days isn't a big deal until your sales plummet.
Yep.
And you're like, oh shit, like, I gotta get back to sourcing.
Yeah, you got to be. I feel like a lot of it's just a lot of self awareness too. Like, I guarantee too. Like, once you develop the skill for like the calorie stuff we're talking about and that type of thing, it'll be like impossible for you to gain weight in the future, like, because you'll be so
Yeah,
self aware of like, okay, it says I gained this weight. I know what I did. Like, once you have an awareness of all this stuff, it's just really hard to mess it up. Like, I don't ever see how I could get like fat because I already know what it takes to not be. So like it would just
yeah,
be me blatantly looking at the scale and being like, well, this is fun. Let's see how high I can go. Like I already know what I'm doing wrong. Like a lot of times that stuff happens because you're just unaware. And same with
yeah,
business. It's like if you see like what everything's going on, what's working, what's not, and the alcohol stuff, like, okay, do I feel bad? Not like, okay, I'm going to get right back to it and feel bad again. You have to be as really self-aware. And then it's almost impossible to get in those loops. You kind of just have to be like, okay, we have to make a change right now, not tomorrow. Like we have to change
yeah.
today. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Which
that's
is
the
hard.
hardest part about it. Like, I feel it's really hard to, just in general, like, I feel like everyone's like always like, oh, like, today is the day. And like, yeah, in theory, yeah, that is great advice. But it's really hard to like, let's just say like today's Thursday, you're like, today's the day. Or like, well, tomorrow's like Friday. You know what I mean? And it's just like, to start Monday or do something like that. Like, it's just hard to like kind of do that. But you're right. And I think a lot of people don't really factor that in, like, because you definitely, like, if you have like a couple drinks or whatever, depending on like how far you take it, like, you're gonna be foggy the next day. Like, you're not
Yep.
100%. It doesn't matter. Like, you just can't make the argument that you are 100% focused, like, zoned in, and like there's someone that is, so they're
Yep.
gonna like kick your ass. Like, that's just the gist of it. So like, if
And
you
do
kind of
the
want to like
math.
do that stuff or whatever, like, you just have to realize that it's like, I think it just makes everything harder.
Yeah, but you gotta like this is like a math equation. You can literally do it of like, okay, let's say a guy is working 60 hours a week on his business and like locked in, he doesn't drink, he's just doing nothing but that. And then you're working 30 hours or 40 hours, but 10 of your hours aren't great because you were using
Mhm.
this other 20 hours to drink or do whatever. Like, look, if you add that up over a long period of time, that guy's working like years and years more than you. So you think now,
That
okay,
is
well, I have
true.
this much year advantage over somebody else. Well, like you're actually like giving up those years by just being super unproductive. But I read an article about it. It was like the real way to get rich is you find something you're good at or you find an avenue that works. And instead of putting in 40 hours, you put in 80 hours because everybody else is going to put
Mhm.
in 40. And if you
Yeah.
can work like another year more than someone every like three, I don't know what the math was, but it was like for
Make
every
like
2 or 3 years.
pounds like insane.
Yep. It's nonstop. So that's kind of like how you have to be successful, which is what I'm trying to do with like when I'm building this stuff now. I'm not drinking. I'm like, I have to put in like 60 hours a week because if I don't, I'm
Yeah.
just not going to beat the guy that is. And I don't want to be the guy that's putting in 40 with 10 of them hung over and feeling bad. Like that's just not enough. It's going to take me
Yeah.
years longer to get to my goals doing it that way.
Yeah, it's definitely too. Yeah, it's like not all hours are equal. Like,
Yep.
and that's like the
100%.
problem with it. Like, for me, it's like, you know, me like sourcing at like 5 or 6 in the morning is much more effective than me trying to source after doing this podcast. And like, because I'm just not as focused. Like, it's kind of onto the podcast, it's on to like building this school community. Like, there's just other stuff like floating around in my head. So I think that's just kind of like one of the big things. But I also think that could be like, to be honest, like, a lot of people like, oh, like, all the time, what's the hack to sourcing and this or that? To be honest, like, part of it is just feeling fucking good and like being healthy and like having energy, or like I definitely notice that all the time. Like I used to even like, have you heard of like Dave's Killer Bread?
Yep.
I used to have like that bagel, like I don't know, 4 or 5 egg whites, maybe like a slice or two of bacon or whatever for breakfast every morning. I was like, oh, and I like it. I actually like love that breakfast, and it's only like 450 calories, I think, or somewhere around there. But when I stopped eating the bagel, I felt so much better. I basically like
Yep.
replaced the bagel with
No
the flank
insulin
steak.
spike.
Yeah, so then
Yep.
it was like flank steak, the eggs, and then I was like, ooh, like I have like much more energy like than I was when I was doing that. And then like when I had like one of those elite protein shakes with it, I was like, ooh, like that's too much. Like that's way too much, like all at once. So I feel like you just kind of gotta like figure that out. And then it's like, yeah, when you're just sitting down to like get like work done, you just gotta be like, okay, like I feel good, or the goal is just to kind of like feel good, and like I don't know. It's hard to explain, but
No, dude, I think it's like it's funny. We're like a health podcast now, but like
yeah.
the
Someone
reality is,
actually DM'd me today. They're like, "Hey, like, would you be willing to talk to me about like how you lost weight?" Like, I'm no expert, but like, yeah, like I'll like try to like guide you
we
the best
just
I
don't.
can.
We gave what we've said today. Like this is enough for like a lot of tips to lose weight. Especially like I know what I'm talking about. You know what you're talking about. Look, you've already done it. Like
Yeah,
this stuff. And I wish people would understand that even if you just take away the weight, even though everyone wants to be like skinnier, that's like a fact. But even if you take that away from it, this stuff you're talking about with the productivity, that's way more important. And the same, like that will happen if you like apply these things we've talked about. Your business will improve. Like I
yeah,
watched the Sam Ovens thing. He even talked about like cutting out alcohol, making a routine, and getting a chef, eating right, and not having these crazy insulin spikes. That took me from $2 million a year to $18 million a year. And they all say it. Like all those top level guys, like Becker,
yeah,
gets up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, does all these pills, does all these injections, and is like just locked in for that many hours. Because I think that what you said about the hours, not all hours are equal, that's 100% true. Like if you don't have focused in hours, it's just going to be worse. Like when we record this pod later in the day, every time I'm worse, like every single time. The earlier we could do it, the more like my brain's flowing, I'm ready to go. It's just because I feel better because I haven't had all this junk food. I haven't done all these tasks already. And if you're living like that all the time, dude, I don't even know how anybody can get any focused hours in. If you're just eating like trash and feeling hungover and doing all this stuff, it's like your productivity is going to be awful compared to the person that's actually dialed in.
yeah. And one thing that you were saying about like feeling better and like the health stuff, I think like what gets lost sometimes in translation is that like, or maybe I don't document it like good enough because I feel like corny. Like it's terrible. Like working out how I work out and like going to the gym every day, like having a burger without a bun, like, it sucks. But it's better than like feeling like shit. Like
Yep.
it's not easy. You just have to do it, and like that's kind of like it. They're like, what's the secret? What's the secret? It's like do a goddamn workout every day in the gym. Like there's like go there for like 90 minutes. Like would I rather be doing something else with those 90 minutes? Like the other day was an off day, and that's when I basically like did the bulk of building the school community. Man, this is so nice. I felt like I had so much time today because like all I like probably wasn't great though because like I sat downstairs for like 8 to 10 hours just like banging this out or whatever. So that wasn't great, but I think like yeah, you just have to like do it, and I think someone actually asked me on Instagram a question. I still have to make a YouTube video, but it was like, how do you avoid burnout? And it's like staying healthy as much as possible because it's hard to burn out when you have energy, you're feeling good, you don't feel like kind of sluggish and stuff like that. Um, and yeah, I think that's kind of the hard part about building a business because like when it gets tough, it's easy to rely on like, maybe I'll have like a couple drinks, like kind of like talk this out and like take a break or whatever. But like that's kind of like usually leads to no good.
Yep. Well, I think a lot of it when you're talking about like how you work
You're
like
like taking off from the gym, or it's like that really just kind of screws you up.
Yeah, it's a tough balance. Sometimes I don't know. I try my best to almost like backload it to an extent. Like if I have a period where I know I'm not doing a lot with the business, like at the beginning of this year when I was kind of thinking up the seminar and wasn't working super hard on anything, I was going to the gym all the time. I was watching my diet. I was cutting weight, all this stuff. So now where I'm like building this other thing and I'm not as motivated to go to the gym, well, I've done it for like all these months and like it's going to take a lot for me to lose it. So all I have to do now is make sure I'm eating right, making sure I'm healthy. So because if I have to bang out like a 10-hour day, okay, well I can skip the gym because I know I've been for the last like 6 months. I'm not going to lose it all in 2 days, or I'm not going to lose it all in a week. So like
Yeah.
keeping the rest, keeping your like off time really healthy. Like when you have a lazy day, it shouldn't be like a day where you fuck off. It should really be a day where you like get the diet in check, you plan the week, you do that kind of stuff. So you go to the gym, so then when you do have those days where you have to hyper focus on the business, you don't feel as bad about it. And you can get in the right headspace of like, I don't feel bad for missing the gym. I don't do that. Like I'm just doing this today. And I
Yeah.
know every other day in my life I'm optimizing stuff. That's kind of like what I try to take into consideration too.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because yeah, there's like certain times for, fitness and like the business, like it got much
Sometimes you
better
gotta
doing
stuff
the
it.
fitness. I will say like, so two things I think too, a lot of people think, um, like you need more time or like time off. And so I'm not saying that like everyone needs time off. Like you just can't work 24/7, all this stuff. But the more I have to do, the more I get done, weirdly enough.
Mhm.
Like when I don't have a lot of stuff, like I start overthinking stuff, like should I do this or why am I not doing that? Like I feel like when I have trouble sleeping if I don't have like a productive day.
Yep.
Cuz like in my head I'm like you just didn't do what you were supposed to today. Like
Yep.
and it just like bothers you. And it's just super annoying. Um like I haven't really sourced the last 2 days because I've been like building this school thing, and like I don't feel bad about it because I'm doing something else, and I know like once this gets like up and running, like I'm gonna go back to sourcing, and it's gonna be like totally fine. Like, but if I wasn't sourcing and I was just like drinking all day or something like that, I'd be like, you're an idiot. Like,
Yep.
what are you doing? Like, kind of thing. So I think you gotta kind of look at it like that a lot, and just kind of know like I think what a win is for you. And I kind of have been going to the gym earlier now. Like I'll wake up at like 5:30 ish or whatever, depending. I'll either work for an hour, get something done like specific, or just go right to the gym. I kind of find going to the gym early. While am more of a morning person and would rather like spend that working on the business, I also it guarantees me a quick win
Yep.
going to the gym because there's no losing there.
Yep.
Like, there's just
And
no
that's
losing there.
a
You
lot of
could
times that's the
source for
hardest
2
part.
hours and find nothing, and that's a loss. Now you're going to the gym and you're like thinking about how you found nothing, and now like after this gym, you're like, shit, I should probably cut this workout. It's just like this whole like thing, but it's like you get the win, and then you're just like, all right, like let's crush the day, like kind of thing.
Yeah, and you get the hardest part of your day out of the way. Like
Yeah,
inevitably for like everyone, pretty much the hardest part of the day is going to be your exercise. So if you get that right out of the way, it's only up from there. Like nothing you do throughout the day is going to be as hard as you like lifting weights really heavy in the morning. Like physically
for
on your
sure.
body, mentally even, getting in front of like all this stuff. So if you can get that out of the way, I did it yesterday. I usually don't wake up first thing in the morning, go to the gym. I did yesterday, and I remember looking at my computer. It was 1 o'clock, and I was like, "How is this possible?" I did everything I was supposed to
Yeah,
before 1 o'clock. Like, what do I do now? I just like laid in bed for 3 hours, just like so lazy. But I'm like, I can't even think of tasks to do now. Like I like completed my whole list today. And then today I have like four more things I'm supposed to do. Although now it's almost 3 o'clock and I haven't even lifted. So I'm probably going to skip the gym and I'm probably just
yeah.
going to be less productive than usual. So I get where you're coming from there for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of why I like it too, because it's like, it just should be working, and then it's just like, no, like if you knock that out, and then all of a sudden, like sourcing is easier, like you're thinking more clear, like you're just kind of like, and also too, you're just sharper. Like when I wake up, like pretty alert, but you know, not more alert than after like crushing a workout. Like you take some time to warm up. Like I'd rather just spend that like wake up time like warming up on like the treadmill or whatever, getting ready to lift, and then coming home and then crushing it. And I think that has just been like a huge thing for me. And then once, same with you, like oh man, if I don't get to the gym by like 2, like it's just not happening. I don't
It's
know
not.
what
I'm
it
not going.
is. It's just not happening. And then it's like, shit. Like I really like messed this day up like I should have. And I think too, that's like the hardest part about anything is like when you skip something, it makes you like there's something in your head where like, well, I could skip this other thing too. Like
Yep.
once you kind of like break that like trust, like I remember I had a trainer once, like way back, like 2, 3 years ago, and it was like I think it was our second session or whatever, and it was they canceled, and they're just like, oh, I'm just like not. It was like obviously like they either woke up late. It wasn't like I was like I just lost like respect. I'm just like shit, like this isn't gonna work. Because then it was like, oh, now it's open for me. Like if I'm not like feeling, oh, like I'm not feeling like they opened the door to this, and now it's like kind of over. I mean, it's not like it is, but like that's just kind of like the thing, or it's
Yep.
like if like Garrett gives me workouts and like I skip one, it's like, well, you could skip Wednesdays too. Like it just like gets you in this like stupid loop, and it's really hard to get like back on track, like with that. And like I was kind of like I hurt my back, like kind of doing like I was doing like a flat bench, and it was like the highest like weight. And instead of dropping them, like 2 people around me, like I tried to like push up with them and like put them down. I just like felt this like tweak in my back. Oh, damn. And so like I just been kind of like walking and just like kind of doing like some light cardio like the last, I don't know, 6, 7 days. And I was just like, and like, so I've been like skipping the workouts. And like he said, like, yeah, you gotta get your back better. And yesterday was the first day I was like able to like lift again. I was like, damn, I feel so good. But like not lifting and like, dude, I'm like, man, you're losing steam. Like, what do you do? Like, it was just so annoying. Like, is this back ever gonna get better or whatever? And now that it's like back, it's like, all right, like, let's go. Like, I'm like excited again about this. But yeah, like, kind of just like skipping. Like, once you skip something, it's just hard to like be like, well, I skipped it that time. Like,
Yep.
why can't I skip it now? And it's terrible.
Yep. Well, to close off with this, I think this is just kind of a reality of this burnout thing you were talking about earlier. Like, and the older I get, the more I'm like seeing people around me and me myself too. Like, if you're getting burnt out, like, to be honest, it's probably just due to you just like not wanting it bad enough. That's what I've noticed with like a lot of people, like especially people that like hit my DMs too. And it's like, I'm like, man, the reality is like there's people working like 3 times more than you that aren't getting burnt out. Like a lot of it is just like you just have to do it. You have to do the work. You have to put in all the time because other people are. And it was one of the things I had today was like one of my reasons for quitting Amazon, because people always ask, why didn't I keep that going? Well, it's because I understand that if I'm going to do this podcast and I'm going to like inevitably clip these eventually whenever I get time to do that. But if I'm going to do these things and then I'm going to start this whole other business, I don't have enough time to do the Amazon because I have family, I have friends, I have other things I want to do. It's like you just don't have enough time to do it all. And if I want to be fully focused, which I understand that that's the case, I'm going to have to work 50, 60 hours a week when this thing is like up and running. All right, well, I just don't have time to do the other things. And people just don't want to sacrifice stuff. They don't want to do anything. It's like, dude, you've got to work that hard. You're going to burn out. That's like the point. You got to keep going. Like that's like if you want to reach the big levels of it. When I was doing the like eBay and Amazon during the COVID stuff, dude, I was working like 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week, but it's because I just had to make it work. Like there was no other option. Yeah. And I didn't burn out, it felt awful. And I don't know if I could do it again that specific way, but that's just
it's like exciting and it's like going and like, yeah, eventually you'll probably like burn off and need to take like 2 or 3 weeks off. But like, I think that's like a really good point. Like I remember like Hermosi always tells this story, like when he first started his gym and like he kind of had like a mentor and he was just like, yeah, you got to like hand out flyers to like, promote the gym. So like he buys his like 1,000 flyers or whatever. And he's like, dude, like what the hell? Like nothing happened. He was like really mad. And he's like, how many did you hand out? He's like, 1,000. And the guy's like, what? Like, we test with 5,000. Hermosi was like, oh, like I thought 1,000 was a lot. This guy is doing 5,000 a day. And then he does, if it works, he'll get like 20,000 flyers. And it gets like, then he was like, oh, okay, like there's levels to this, and kind of like it's just like funny, like to kind of like think about that. And I think, and it's like to a lot of like people too, I think like no one like really shows that they've sourced for like 8 hours. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, like I just sat down to my computer and found a lead that I'll make $5,000 on. It took me like 5 minutes to find. And it's like, nah, that person's probably working like 8 hours
Yep.
to find that.
Yeah, it's just going to require like way more than you think it will. I probably said that like 50 times on this podcast, but I mean, the proof's in the pudding. Like the Amazon thing,
For
I
sure.
know that I am like an expert of that stuff. And it took me years and years to get there. And as you know, from talking about the marketing stuff with me behind the scenes, like, but
Yeah,
6 months ago, it is crazy how far I've got. But that's because I
for sure.
spend basically every waking hour doing this. So how long is it going to take somebody to catch up to me? Yeah, like 60 hours a week for the next 6 months. And then you might be there, but also I'm still doing that. So I'm going to be twice as far ahead of you. So like same thing with Amazon, same thing as everything. It's like if you're not going to put in a ridiculous amount of hours and a ridiculous amount of focused hours, you're just not going to get there. You're just going to have to live with the mediocrity or the failure of it. It sucks, but you got to find a way to make it fun, I guess. That's the best advice I can give there.
Yeah, making it fun is definitely good, and like kind of knowing your why. Like I know
Yeah.
someone right now who just had like a kid basically, and they like are taking their leave or whatever to kind of like build their Amazon business, and they don't want to go back to work.
Yep.
So they're like they just had a kid, right? And they're like grinding it out because like they don't want to. So like, are they burnt out? Maybe, but like they have like a
Doesn't matter.
really big why. Like it
Yep.
doesn't matter. Like it's like do or die time for them, and you know they seem to
Yep.
be doing well. So
That's
good for
funny
them.
because I've been thinking, I was like, maybe I just need to pop out a kid so I can really focus down, work 80-hour weeks. Maybe that's my solution. It's like, if I just have a kid, maybe I'll 2x my productivity. And I won't, because right now it's like I could easily get burnt out with stuff because I have a bunch of money. I like am not struggling to, I could retire for like 10 years right now. So it's like, okay, I can do that, but I don't need to do that. I need to work like extra hard. So I need to put some kind of pressure. So yeah, maybe I'll have a kid. I don't know.
It's hilarious.
That 1 year from now, I'll just be sitting here with a newborn, being like, "This is how you don't."
Yeah, this is why this podcast is still going.
Yeah, I can't stop.
Yeah, we cannot stop anymore.
All right, dude. Well, you want to close it out? You do another promo.
Yeah, let's close it out, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you guys want to get in the school community, definitely come. I'm telling you, it's definitely going to be worth it. Super excited about it. Drew's seen the inside of it, and it's just going to be really great. There'll be a link down below, so we'll start it up, and I look forward to seeing you guys inside there.
And I might be a guest sometime. Then I might
sure.
drop a bunch of info that I don't care to drop because I don't do Amazon. So keep that in mind too if you join. Just remember, I am friends with John, and I do not care what I put online Amazon. So think about that.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace out.
Peace.